sell to rich people until you have the money to sell all the poor people. The middle is where you get killed. Elon said, you can either do a lot of good for a small amount of people or a little good for a large amount of people. And I will tell you personally, it's way harder to do a little good for a lot of people than a lot of good for a small amount of people. There is a reason that Tesla started at the top. They started only selling to rich people. They had the Roadster, which is $250,000. And so they sold those, and then he was able to go down market one and sell $100,000 cars to just upper echelon of society, the wealthy. And then after that, he made the X, which is a little bit cheaper than that. And then underneath of that, he made the Model 3, which was going to be the mass model car, right? And each time, it was significantly harder to do the one before, because if you want to sell based on value in terms of low cost, you need to build the infrastructure for huge amounts of demand, because the only way that you make money selling to poor people is selling tons and tons and tons of them. Look at Walmart. Look at Amazon. These are businesses that were built for volume day one, and they win on efficiency. That was the whole point. Amazon, he wanted to have the best selection and the lowest prices. Walmart, everyday low prices. They win on efficiencies. Like, they all fly coach. They use fold-out chairs. They drink out of paper cups. They purposely breed the culture of efficiency because it's the only way that you can win if you sell to poor people. And I say poor people to be hyperbolic in terms of my language so that it drives the point home. Obviously, I buy from Amazon. But the point is that the strategy is based on volume. And you've probably heard some of my other tweets around this, which is solve rich people problems, they pay better. Or if you solve rich people problems, you get to charge rich people prices. This is what I think the key insight is that to someone who only has $1,000, when they pay you $100, they pay you 10% of their net worth. Their expectations of what they're going to get for that $100 is the same as a rich person giving you 10 million of their $100 million. It would be gigantic, right, in terms of their expectations. But getting a rich person to give you $100, they might not even notice. And so the thing is that it's actually easier in some ways to solve rich people problems because they're willing to pay more in an absolute sense for lower relative value. And so with that extra profit or gross margin, you can absolutely over deliver for them and still make money and not have to learn all these things with infrastructure. So for example, if I wanted to start a bank, I would have to have $25 to $100 million to start it up. But if you do that, then you have to build the infrastructure that you can handle money for zillions and zillions and zillions of people. A very hard business to get into. And so the idea is that you want to sell, at least this is my belief, is that you want to sell premium. You want to sell to wealthy people. You want to sell to a niche person that you can do a lot of good for in a very small slice because you don't have to compete against everyone. You can have inefficiencies and still make money without having to have tremendous infrastructure and skill around building it. Once you make a ton of money doing that, you can obviously just do more of that, which big fan. Or you say, you know what, the next thing I do, I want to do for zillions and zillions of people. And so then you build a business like a Netflix that, think about how insane Netflix is. Just as a concept, you pay $13 or $15 a month or whatever it is now, and they create movies and shows, and they spend millions of dollars, and they sign comedians, and they've got all these shows that are streaming, and you pay $14 a month. It's absurd. Think about if you said, hey, mom and dad, I want to start this video subscription, and I'm going to just pay millions of dollars to get all these shows and movies made for us, and I'm just going to charge $14. It would be absurd. That's how much value you have to provide to someone who doesn't have money to capture huge slices of the market. How are you going to beat Prime? $99 a year or $129 a year, whatever it is now, right? And with Prime, you get basically all of Netflix with Prime Video. You also have next day shipping, same day shipping with anything that you want to buy. $99 a year, $129 a year. If you build to sell to the masses, you need to build like you're going to sell to the masses. And you're usually going to have to put a ton of money in for a long period of time because you have to have that infrastructure up front to deal with that volume, to have such a crazy value discrepancy that someone who has no money still never wants to cancel. That's the key. Whereas if you go to wealthier people, you can get a premium. You can have 5 clients that all pay you $5,000 a month and make an amazing income and have the resources to actually do a good job and hire a couple people to help you out who are competent. And you can do that when you charge more money. And those people are not the ones who are like, and everybody's seen this meme where the $50 a month customer is like, hey, so for this $50 a month, what am I going to get? Now, we make fun of that. That's the reality of if you're taking 5% of someone's paycheck, it means a lot to them. Whereas if you're going to somebody who's making $1 million a month and they pay you $5,000, if they get one good thing a year, they're stoked. And they're like, oh yeah, I sent the wire. Did you get it? Like the difference between working with somebody who's on the lower end versus the higher end. And so being very clear about who you serve, not serving other people, going down market only if you have the infrastructure to support huge amounts of volume and usually the capital to front it. Either you build for volume day one and win on efficiency like Amazon or Walmart, or you build for a premium, which means you niche down and you completely solve problems for people. So you completely solve a problem in a very narrow niche. And so let me give you a completely polar opposite examples here, which I literally live on both sides of the spectrum. On one side, acquisition.com is my premium brand, right? This is the brand that we do deals with. This is where we have $100 million companies and stuff that we invest in, that we own it, right? That's my family office. And we do 1 or 2 deals a year. Just to be really real, we make very rich people way wealthier, right? That's what I do there. So someone comes in is already worth $50 million and we're like, cool, how do we get to 250? And that's what we invest in. That's what we scale the company. On the other extreme, we've got Skool. So Skool is for everyone who's starting out. Now, Skool took 5 years to get to the level of product that it is now, and millions and tens of millions of dollars of development where it lost money the entire time and still loses money right now in order to create such an absurd value for the $99 a month or whatever it is. Because we know that $99 a month for somebody who's trying to start their business, that's the entirety of their business budget. And so we have to solve all of the business problems that those people have at that level. And so these are two completely, honestly, the most polar extremes of value creation in terms of who we're selling to or who we advertise to and who we're attracting and how we help them. And so there's no coincidence that I did acquisition.com before investing in being a co-owner of Skool, because I had to make enough money to be able to afford to sell to people who don't have much, to be able to help build the infrastructure and invest millions of dollars to build that so that we could accommodate millions and millions of users. Right now, we have many millions of users on the platform. If you are confused about how to sell rich people stuff, first off, the easiest hack for selling to rich people is do what somebody else is doing that sells to rich people and do it in half the time and charge twice the price. Number one, rich people pay for time above all else. But if we look at the value equation, you've got the outcomes. You got to make sure they want the outcome that you're promising. And then you've got the 3 other variables. You've got risk. How likely is it that they're going to get what they want when they buy? Time, delay between when they buy and when they get, and the effort and sacrifice. The richer they are, the more guaranteed they want it to be. Now, you don't have to guarantee things, but you need the perception of the guarantee. That's why reputation matters. If you're the best plastic surgeon in the world, you don't give a guarantee. They just have a high perceived likelihood of achievement. They believe that if they pay you, the likelihood that their nose isn't fucked up when they do the surgery is high. If time delay, they want it to be as fast as possible. If they give you money and have it tomorrow, rich people pay a lot of money for that. And then you've got effort and sacrifice. Well, I don't want to do anything. I want you to do everything. And so the thing is that a lot of times it makes sense to have very white glove, concierge, high touch things for people who are willing to pay for it, because for them, the incremental difference in cost for them is actually very small. So the difference between $5,000 a month and $10,000 a month to a multimillionaire, not a huge difference. But if you're just better for $10,000 a month, they'll happily pay you than the $5,000 a month guy. You're not going to sell someone who's wealthy on how much money you're going to save them. You'll sell someone who's wealthy on how much time you're going to save them.